World Strongest Man final. We know all of our athletes, which means we get into prediction time.
My goodness.
What a competition it's been so far. Yeah. It's been so exciting. Thank you to everyone that's been joining us with our lives over the week. The stone off yesterday, actually, I have to say I was excited. You know, it wasn't, I still think we need something new, but yeah. I was on the edge of my seat. And there's a lot of stories going on. I mean, Pavlo Kordiaka was unbelievable in his group. Tom Stockman getting through on the stone off. We had the stone off between Rauno and Brian. Unbelievable. You know, Brian is making me believe.
Yeah.
I've got to say, you know, the last few years, even with some of the solid performances, I never kind of felt like Brian could win. And before this competition started, I was still like, Brian's great, but his past, you know, his best is behind us. I'm starting to become a believer that the 5 could happen.
Loz is a believer. I am too. Honestly, I know he had like one bad event, the Conans, but he's got nothing like that.
There's no Conans in the final. Actually, the events in the final are much better on paper for him as well.
Yes.
Mitch Hooper was unbelievable. Yes. Novikov coasting through his group. Some huge surprises as well. The new boys that qualified from OSG, Official Strongman Games. We've got Matt Ragg and Jaco Schoenwinkel in this final. Amazing to see Evan just seeming so much more calm and composed and getting into the final nice and solidly. Trey Mitchell, no one's really talking about. He's just going under the radar, doing his thing. So Luke Stockman also qualified from his group. Anyway, we'll go through the athletes. We'll go through the events and we'll give you our predictions and you guys can give us yours. In his first World's Strongest Man final, Pavlo Kordiaka from Ukraine. Shore Classic winner, Trey Mitchell from the USA. The current Arnold Strongman Classic champion, Mitch Hooper from Canada. 2020 World's Strongest Man, Alexei Novikov from Ukraine. A rookie who's made it to the final in his first ever World's Strongest Man, New Zealand's Matthew Ragg. Another rookie, great to see South Africa represented in the World's Strongest Man final once again, Jaco Schoenwinkel. The 4-time winner of World's Strongest Man, can he make it 5? The one and only Brian Shaw from the USA. Multiple Giants Live winner and in his first ever final at the World's Strongest Man, also from the USA, Evan Singleton. Former Europe's Strongest Man from Scotland, Luke Stockman. And the current 2-time back-to-back winner of World's Strongest Man, also from Scotland, Tom Stockman. What a lineup, Auntie Liz.
It's such an exciting lineup because, you know, Jaco and Matt Ragg, we have no real idea how they might do in the final.
I've been super impressed with those guys. Impressed. We got 8 out of 10 predictions to make it to the final. It was these 2 lads that were the spanner in the works, if you like.
Oh, but happy spanners.
Yeah, this is what we want to see. This is what I want to see. New athletes getting the opportunity to come to World's Strongest Man and prove that they're good enough. And these boys have done exactly that. We need to get into these events. It's starting off with the fingers. 5 of these fingers need to be flipped over. And for me, this event is all about Brian Shaw.
Brian is so experienced on this equipment and he's just so good at it as well. No one else in this lineup has the same sort of experience as Brian because he's from an era where we saw it a lot at the World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, so looking at other athletes that we can kind of maybe think of that could potentially do well. Tom Stockman is built for this type of event.
He is,
yes. He really is. Alexei has had experience. He's done this event in the past and done well in the group stages on it. He hasn't had this stiffer competition though to go against. He has been training on a very, very heavy finger. But for me, probably those 3 are the real ones to look out for.
Surely Trey Mitchell's built for it as well. Trey's very tall,
he is,
very strong overhead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Trey does on this one. Do you know the real thing is we've not seen too many of these athletes doing this event.
No.
So really, I know what Brian Shaw's done. I've seen him do it multiple times. I've been against him doing it. I've tried this equipment. So I've got like an understanding of how tough it is. A lot of new athletes, they will have been training hard. We may see some big surprises on this one. You know, Mitch Hooper's been training on a finger that he had. It's still untested in competition. Trey's really untested in competition. A lot of these guys are. Luke Stockman's got great overhead power. He's been training with his brother, so he'll have a good understanding of what they're like. It's a difficult one to predict, but I know that Brian Shaw is tried and tested on this one, and for me, he has to be the favourite starting off with this event.
I agree.
Event number 2 is the deadlift. Now we can see what some of the guys did in the deadlift in the heats. There was some fantastic performance, particularly from Brian and from Mitch Hooper.
Yes, they were both. So no one got more than 8 reps in the heats. Those two were the only ones in the final that got 8 reps. I know Tom Stockman got 7. Alexi only had to do 6. It'd be very interesting to see what...
Now, Alexi won the deadlift for reps in the final last year. He is very good at reps. Lots of good deadlifters, but some of the real big deadlifters have not made it to the final, like the likes of Rauno, Adam Bishop, Bobby Thompson. So that could be a factor as well. It bumps people up a little bit. For me, this is a great event for Mitch Hooper. His deadlift for reps have really gone well. Brian looks to be in great shape. Alexei Novikov is looking in great shape. Tom Stolman, for me, looked a little bit down on his deadlifts in the heats. But it's a different deadlift, it's a different setup, and for reps, he tends to be better than for top-end max strength anyway. So we will wait and see, but I think it's going to be a battle. And I think the real battle will be between Mitch and Novikov on this one.
Do you think there'll be many tied points on this? Because I could see quite a few.
Could be a few guys tying. I mean, Trey Mitchell is a great deadlifter. I think Trey would rather it was heavier, but I still expect him to do well. The shield carry, Auntie Liz. How is this one going to go?
This is a really interesting one. We've got some great shield carriers here competing. So Tom Stoltman has proven to be very good at this. Mitch Hooper won the carry for distance at the Rogue Invitational last year. Alexi's had some great results on shield carry. Brian's had some great results, but not for a very, very long time.
Yeah, Brian's not done a shield carry for a very long time. I think that's the only issue. But if we look back at the history, he's done very well. He scores big points. And it's not the same as the Conans, the shield.
Nothing like that.
We look at the results from the Conans in the heats. Alexei Novikov was unbelievable. If he can bring that to the final, then he's got a great chance. But it is a slightly different event.
Well, the Conans really suits the slimmer athletes and the more athletic athletes because it's sort of crushing down on the chest, whereas the shield really suits the bigger athletes with the longer
that can get their arms
arms
around it. Thor Bjornsson was really good at this. Tom Stoltman has done amazing distances on the Giants Live Shield before. Brian Shaw's done great distances. They've got those longer arms, they can get round it a little bit more. Be interesting to see what they have to hold. I haven't seen the shield that they've got to hold. That can sometimes play a big part. If the athletes can get round it and hold on, usually you see further distances than if they've just got to kind of grit and bear it and hold it with their biceps.
Who can you see winning this event?
I can definitely see Mitch Hooper winning this one. I could see Tom Stoltman winning it. I could see Novikov winning it. It's again, this event could really throw things out open. People have been known to make mistakes on events like this.
You're not allowed to drop it.
And I think that's one of the big factors with this competition. Nothing is guaranteed. There are so many ifs and buts. There's really not like one or two heavy favourites in my opinion. I think there's a lot of people that could win the whole competition, which is why it's so exciting.
And if you look at someone like Jaakko Schoenwinkel, he was incredible. And Pavlo Kordiaker as well. We should be talking about him.
Do you know what? We really should. I think Pavlo is an amazing athlete, and I think he could be a bit of a dark horse in this final.
Absolutely.
Now, this is an event I'm looking forward to seeing. It's the max dumbbell press. I've never seen a max dumbbell in person. I've seen dumbbells like ladder. I've seen reps. I've never actually seen a max dumbbell. I've seen people attempting world records.
And we know they did it in Arnold's Australia as well, in an event over there, but never at World's Strongest Man.
Now, I think on paper you've got to be looking at Alexei Novikov for this one.
Alexei has won the dumbbell the last 11 times he's had it in competition.
Which is a hell of a record.
So it's hard to look past him, but looking at the actual dumbbell itself, the massive handle, so when it gets up to like 150, 155 kilos...
If we get to that.
The handle of the dumbbell is getting bigger at the same time. So how is that going to suit someone like Alexei, who has relatively normal sized hands?
I don't think it will affect Alexei.
Do you not?
He's very adaptable, very good at kind of adjusting to different types of equipment. So I think someone like Alexei will be okay. I think someone like Mitch can cope with adapting. Maybe athletes that need things to be the same all the time will struggle a little bit more. But I think it could suit some of the big guys as well, because those globes are going to get really big and long. Having just that surface area to help rest it will help. So Brian Shaw's a great dumbbell presser.
Evan.
I've been told that Tom has been working really hard on this. Now, historically in competition, it's not been a good event for him.
His results have been bad on it.
Speaking to his coach, he said training's going really well. When you look on paper, this is probably Tom's weakest event out of the lot.
This could be the one event that costs him the title, because the problem is, if he really drops off here into the bottom few places, does anyone else? Because if everyone else is super consistent and is winning events and they don't have that glaring weakness, if it is still a weakness, we don't know.
We're just speculating.
No, we
know that Evan Singleton is a great dumbbell presser. Pavlo Kordiaka is great at the dumbbell.
Trey Mitchell is great at dumbbell.
You know, this
we're is not even counting Yako and Matt, who we don't actually know. They could be great at dumbbell. Like, usually when you have rookies make the final, they've really been concentrating on those heat events. So it's not uncommon to see someone demolish it in the heats and then
struggle more in the final.
Struggle more in the final when it's a bigger pool of really talented athletes.
Absolutely.
But I also, with these two, wouldn't be surprised to see them carry through that energy from the heats.
We will wait and see. It's very difficult when you're into that final because the body's starting to feel it.
Yes,
and then
of course.
The other thing to remember is these are completely different events than the athletes had in the heats.
And events matter.
Yeah, but I think I would put my money on Alexei to be taking the win on this one. The real question is, what does everyone else do? Do they tie? Do they split points? Do they manage to get ahead of each other? Could be an interesting one to watch. Event number 5 is the vehicle pull. Now, last year I would have said this could have been a weakness, or before last year I would have said this could have been a weakness for Alexei Novikov. He shocked everyone by winning this event last year. So you just never know with Alexei.
No, and I would put Pavlo into that same boat. We don't know with Pavlo either, and he would not surprise me if he went and did very well.
One thing I can tell you, Mitch Hooper has made huge progress on this event since last year, where he'd never actually pulled a truck. Been working really hard on this event. His endurance is good, and I expect by this point in the competition, Mitch to still have energy in the tank compared to other athletes that may be starting to struggle a bit more. That is one of his superpowers, if you like.
Yeah.
He's got the ability to just keep going. Brian Shaw is excellent at truck pull. He's done it many, many times. He's very good at it. Trey Mitchell, he should be good at truck pulling. He's built well for it. He's got the power.
And he's good at
Tom
pushing
Stoltman
as well.
is a very good truck puller. He's won truck pulls in the last few years. Anything to do with pulling or pushing, he's got that body weight, that height, that strength, and he's scored big points. So, you know,
it's an impossible one to predict. Like, even going off of the data that we have and what we know, it's so hard to call.
And like I said, at this point, the athletes will be starting to really feel it. They'll be digging deep and they'll be pushing, but sometimes you just start to lose that energy. We saw that with Alexei Novikov in last year's final. It was the last two events where he'd just given everything and it caught up with him. He has been a lot more methodical in the groups this year, so you think he's really focusing on the final.
I think so.
And then it comes down to the stones, and we have a number of incredible stone lifters.
We do.
And for me, the best 3 stone lifters in this competition are Trey Mitchell, Tom Stoltman, and Brian Shaw.
And it could cost someone like Alexei the title.
It could. Like, he needs to be in the lead going into the stones, I feel.
Matt Ragg's great at stones.
Luke
Stoltman, Pavlo Kordiaka. Like, there's so many good stone lifters in that
There's not a
final.
bad stone lifter in there, really, is there?
No, there isn't.
Was it Yako that didn't do so well at the stones in OSG?
He didn't do well at the stones at OSG, but I don't know if maybe there was more going on. But essentially, he lost OSG on the stones.
You've got, like, Mitch Hooper has made huge progress on stones. Pavlo Kordiaka's solid stone lifter. Trey Mitchell, unbelievable stone lifter. Alexei, up and down on stones.
Yeah.
Can have good performances. Sometimes he's had some poor performances. Matt Ragg, from what we've seen, very good at stones. Brian Shaw, unbelievable at stones. Evan Singleton has had very good stone runs. He has had 1 or 2 not go to plan.
Do you think Evan will go berserk now? Like, now he'll go all out now he's made the final? Or do you think he's going to keep that slightly more methodical?
I think Evan will relax now.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Evan has made the final, that takes a lot of pressure off, because everyone, including us, have been saying Evan should be in the final, and he's not managed to do it. This year, he's in the final. He's where he wants to be. He can relax and have fun now.
Yeah.
And he could cause people problems.
Honestly, how do you call it? Like,
this is without question. We're not to mention there Tom Stoltman and Luke Stoltman, both great stone lifters. Tom Stoltman has won these stones the last few years in a row.
Of course.
So if Tom is within touching distance going into stones, he's going to still be feeling really confident.
Yeah.
It's an extremely hard one to predict. I'm sure you guys feel the same. We've all got our favourites, but it's such a hard competition to predict. I'm gonna throw out 4 names that I think all could win.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw out one guy that I think maybe has the potential, not necessarily to win, but could surprise people and get on the podium.
Okay.
So my 1 of 4 that will win, Tom Stoltman, Brian Shaw, Mitch Hooper, just through sheer consistency, and Alexei Novikov. It probably doesn't surprise a lot of people, those four.
It shouldn't surprise people.
Trey Mitchell, the reason I haven't put Trey in there is, although I don't think he's got any of his biggest weaknesses, I think Trey just suits a slightly more static competition.
Maybe.
And I think he'd prefer like a log than a dumbbell.
Yeah. Trey could drop a couple of points on the shield carry.
I don't think Trey has any sort of bankers in there. That's the only issue for Trey, perhaps, and maybe one or two where he drops a few points. But
it'd be nice for him to have a log in there or something like that.
Yeah. I think the surprise for me could be Pavlo Kordiaka. I think Pavlo could really shock people. He was amazing in the heats. His deadlift will cost him a few points.
Yeah.
But the rest of the events, he's very solid at.
Yeah, and it will be the deadlift that will be an issue. He got 5 reps in the heat, same as Luke Stoltman, but everyone else got more than them too.
Yeah, and Luke's done amazing. I just feel with that deadlift in there and maybe no real bankers for Luke in the final.
I feel the same.
Like if there was a log for Max, that gives him a big advantage.
Yeah.
I think dumbbell he's solid at, but there's just so many good dumbbell presses.
I know, it's hard.
So it's hard to stretch away. Even with a good performance, you might be tied on points with people. I think Tom Stoltman, Mitch Hooper, Alexei Novikov, and Tom. One of those will win.
Brian.
Now that's
You said Tom twice.
No, sorry, Tom, because he's a 2-time champion right there. Maybe I should be saying Brian 4 times.
Yeah.
But Brian, before this competition started, I didn't feel Brian was in that list.
Out of those 4, though, who looked the best in the heats to you?
The best in the heats was, without question, Mitch Hooper.
But
these are different events for Mitch. I believe Mitch can win.
Yeah.
And I think, I know he will perform. That's the thing he does. The events suit some of the other guys more.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll admit that himself, but he is an unbelievable competitor, and his consistency is what makes him hard. He doesn't go away. No. And if anyone makes a mistake, he will be there to punish them.
Yeah. It's so hard. How do you pin it down? Because those 4 that you've named, wouldn't be surprised to see any of them win. Wouldn't be surprised to see any of them in 4th or 5th place either.
Absolutely. Shall we just commit to some predictions?
I can't commit.
Right. I'm going to go with... Right.
You can't. Go on.
Anything can happen in a competition.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about best case scenario there, and that's not always how things work.
No, of course not.
Now,
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go on.
I'm going to back my man, Mitch Hooper.
That's good, you should.
I believe he's in the best shape he's ever been. I don't believe these are the best events for him.
No.
But I just have a feeling that, people have seen what he's done in the heats and they'll be like scared of him.
Yeah.
When someone does a performance like that, and he'll have that confidence that he's just kind of on a roll.
And he won't burn out either.
No.
Like, I know last year it may have looked that way, but really last year it was just a complete lack of experience at that level.
I think Novikov has been focusing on this final.
Yeah, I think so too.
Europe's, he made a mistake. The heats, he's kind of just done what he needed to do. I have a feeling Novikov is going to go into the afterburners now, and I think Novikov is going to come second.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put Brian Shaw, finish his career on the podium.
On the podium, yeah.
I think the dumbbell is going to cost Tom
the title.
And I think maybe, just maybe, if that happens...
Pablo could sneak
wait for it. I think maybe if he messes up the dumbbell, it gets in his head.
It's possible.
If Tom goes in and smashes everything, he could do. Tom could go in there, smash everything, have a great dumbbell run, and he wins.
He's like a different person.
He can. We've seen it in so many comps where Tom can just turn up and he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, Tom suddenly crashes. Yeah. So he's going to go one of 2 ways. He will go on and dominate the competition, or he'll drop back.
I agree.
And it will allow Pavlo to sneak in there, or potentially Trey Mitchell as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I could see Tom either like 1st or 4th.
Yeah.
But possibly not in between, because it'll either be domination or...
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Oof.
That is I'm just going to agree with you on this one.
You're being scared.
I'm so scared.
But honestly, this could well be one of the most amazing finals ever. You've got Evan Singleton, who can do damage. You've got Trey Mitchell, should not be overlooked.
On now. Pablo Kordiaka, won his group, beating Tom.
Yeah.
But we knew that was likely with those events. I wouldn't say it was also likely with these events, but I would never underestimate that man.
I want to wish absolutely every single athlete the best of luck.
Yes.
All 10 of you are incredible. I know sometimes people will listen to my comments and say, I don't like people. Oh, how can you underlook them? These are the 10 best guys in the world. Okay, this is the 10 best guys in the world right now. They are all unbelievable. They deserve to be in that final. I am looking forward to seeing a hell of a battle between all of you. If you have your own predictions, guys, please comment below. If you agree with me, let us know. If you disagree with me, let us know. But please, if you enjoy what we do, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. Stay strong.